All right, so joining me now is Pete Sepp, the National Taxpayers Union, sending a letter to the Senate urging them to make changes to the tax policy within the big, beautiful bill. Pete, nice to see you today.
Oh, always great to be here.
So tell me about the letter. The prospect of the big, beautiful bill actually being passed. Republican leaders and outlets alike are looking at the bill to see what could be tweaked. And as we talked about with two members of Congress already in this program, there's a lot of frustration out there. It's not just Elon Musk. There are a lot of voters out there who are frustrated with Republicans not getting something codified when it comes to cutting real spending. What's the letter? Where do we start?
That's for sure. Now, on the tax side, I think we need to maximize the economic growth potential of the one big, beautiful bill. There are several things we could do to make sure that happens. One of them, first and foremost, making sure the business cost recovery provisions are made permanent. Sounds complicated, but a big one is simply full and immediate expensing. You invest $100,000 in new plant and equipment, but you can only write off $12,500 of that. The rest of it is phantom taxable income to the business. That doesn't make sense. This bill corrects the problem, but only for a limited period of time, a few years. We need to make that provision permanent. That alone could help to double the economic growth forecast that this bill has right now. When we have that kind of economic growth, a lot of other things like fighting the deficit become a little easier. A little. You get more revenue to the government, you get more stable growth. But that doesn't mean we can take the eye off federal spending. And you're right to raise this concern, Steve. We need to be doing
the number that I've seen
here.
The numbers that I have seen, $3.7 trillion in tax cuts. That stimulates the economy. But above $2 trillion in additional deficit, which adds to the final debt number, which is almost $37 trillion. We can't do that anymore. Because if we continue down that road, we're going to end up at a place just like Greece did a few years ago. A debt crisis is inevitable if we continue to go that way. But unlike Greece, nobody can bail us out. That's the problem.
That's right. The projection right now under this bill is $1.8 trillion in interest costs alone to service the national debt, what we currently have and what we'll add to it. When you take a look at the last debt auction, in other words, the place where we go looking for buyers of our indebtedness, the results were not pretty. The interest rates that we're going to have to keep charging to lure people to take on more of this debt, many of them from abroad, is going to get prohibitive. And as you said, nobody's going to be around to bail out the United States when it collapses. We cannot afford a Greek-style debt crisis, and the problem is we don't exactly know where and when that happens. We don't know what level of GDP our debt has to be before it all collapses. We've got some goodwill here. We've got some time, but not a lot. We cannot get this wrong.
Yes, we cannot get this wrong. That's exactly right. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what Ron Johnson does and Rand Paul does and Rick Scott does and maybe even Mike Lee of Utah. We'll see, because we'll have to keep an eye on all of that. Pete, I got to leave it right there, my friend. Thank you as always, but this is going to be going on for a while as they work toward that July 4th goal. We'll see if they can get it done in 30 days. I have no idea. Pete, thank you.